The future of artificial intelligence, the most powerful and controversial technology of our time, isn't being shaped in the glass towers of Silicon Valley. Not in the loud, buzzing innovation campuses of California, but in the cold, snowy, quiet cities of Canada. Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton. Here, in classrooms buried beneath snowstorms and in labs with flickering fluorescent lights, a silent revolution was born. A revolution that now powers your Google searches, your Netflix recommendations, your ChatGPT conversations. Strange, right? Why are the world's most powerful tech giants, Google, Meta, Microsoft, funneling billions of dollars into Canadian AI labs? What does Canada know that Silicon Valley doesn't? And how did a handful of researchers in wool sweaters and snow boots change the course of technological history? This is the untold story of Canada's silent conquest of AI. This is WebSpark, but before we dive in, over 99% of viewers who watch WebSpark videos never subscribe. If you enjoy deep visual storytelling about tech, ideas, and global shifts, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps us bring you more cinematic stories like this one. Let's begin. And to do that, we need to go back, way back. It's the 1980s, the disco era is ending, the Cold War is heating up. And artificial intelligence, it's officially dead. Yes, AI had a moment. Back in the 60s and 70s, researchers promised robots that could think and reason, but it all came crashing down. Funding disappeared, projects were shut down, and the field of AI research entered what's now called the AI winter. But not everyone gave up. In a small lab at the University of Toronto, a quiet British-Canadian scientist named Geoffrey Hinton refused to quit. Hinton believed in something almost no one else did, that machines could learn the way humans do, through layers of neural connections like the human brain. This idea was called deep learning, and it was ridiculed. Hinton was seen as eccentric, a dreamer, an academic outcast, but Canada gave him something the US didn't: freedom. He wasn't chasing military contracts, he wasn't buried in bureaucratic research pipelines. Canada gave him space, modest funding, and more importantly, time. Soon, others joined the rebellion.
I was in California and almost everybody I know is on the East Coast. So I wondered who on earth could be calling me. So I picked it up and there was this long phone number that I didn't recognize the area code, the country code. And then someone with a Swedish accent asked if I was Geoffrey Hinton. And then he told me I won the Nobel Prize in Physics. And my first reaction was, well, wait a minute, I don't do physics. This could be a prank.
In Montreal, a quiet genius named Yoshua Bengio picked up the torch. He believed deep learning wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. In Edmonton, Richard Sutton focused on a different frontier: reinforcement learning, teaching machines to learn by trial and error, just like animals or toddlers. These three cities, far from the flash of Silicon Valley, became the unlikely birthplace of the modern AI revolution. While the US was cutting AI budgets and chasing short-term wins, Canada played the long game. Federal and provincial governments continued to trickle money into AI research. Institutions like CIFAR, Canadian Institute for Advanced Research, doubled down on long-term exploration. They funded research not because it was profitable, but because it mattered. The result? A deeply rooted ecosystem that trained generations of AI thinkers. Canada didn't just build great minds, it built a pipeline, a legacy of thinkers, programmers, and engineers who were quietly building the foundations of the AI tools we use today. By the early 2000s, the world was still mostly ignoring deep learning. But Canada had already cultivated a hidden army of talent, one that would soon be in very, very high demand. Then, in 2012, it happened. Geoffrey Hinton and his students created a deep learning model that blew everyone away. It was called AlexNet. They entered it into an image recognition competition called ImageNet and crushed the competition. The world snapped to attention. Suddenly, what was once fringe science became front-page news. Neural networks could actually outperform traditional algorithms. Deep learning wasn't just real, it was the future. And guess who had been training for this moment for decades? Canada. As AI exploded in popularity, the tech world went into a frenzy. Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, they all needed top-tier AI minds, and they knew exactly where to look. Canada's quiet cities became global recruitment centers. Students from Bengio's lab were scooped up by Silicon Valley. Sutton's reinforcement learning disciples were hired into game companies and robotics labs. Hinton himself was recruited by Google and helped create Google Brain, one of the most powerful AI groups in the world. But something strange happened. Canada didn't lose its edge. Instead, it became the new capital of AI collaboration. Why? Because Canadian universities weren't just producing talent, they were retaining it. With new funding from public-private partnerships, New AI labs popped up across the country. Toronto became the home of the Vector Institute. Montreal expanded Mila into one of the largest AI research hubs on Earth. Edmonton strengthened AMI, focused on reinforcement learning and ethical AI. The world wasn't just borrowing Canadian brains, they were now coming to Canada to join the movement. By 2016, the world's biggest tech companies made it official. Google opened an AI lab in Toronto, Facebook built one in Montreal, DeepMind, a subsidiary of Alphabet, launched a division in Edmonton. They weren't doing this out of charity. They were doing it because Canada had what they needed: talent, ethical frameworks, research freedom, and a government that welcomed innovation. Canada's immigration policy also played a key role. Programs like the Global Talent Stream and Tech Talent Strategy made it easier for AI researchers to move, settle, and build lives in Canada fast. It was the perfect storm. While other nations debated immigration, Canada embraced global minds. While others were rushing to monetize AI, Canada focused on its ethics, inclusivity, and societal value. So here's the big question. Is Canada the new capital of AI? In many ways, yes. Not in terms of revenue, not in terms of flashy IPOs or product launches, but in terms of research leadership, ethics, and talent generation, Canada is already ahead. The Pan-Canadian AI Strategy, launched in 2017 and expanded in 2022, was the first national AI plan in the world. It focused on 4 things: advancing AI research, developing talent, supporting AI commercialization, focusing on ethical and responsible AI. And it worked. Canada is now home to over 800 AI startups. Cities like Toronto and Montreal are consistently ranked among the top global AI hubs, and Canadian researchers still dominate conferences like NeurIPS, ICLR, and CVPR. So what does all this mean for you? It means that the apps you use, the recommendations you get, the tools you rely on likely have Canadian fingerprints on them. When your phone translates a voice message, when ChatGPT answers a question, when your doctor uses an AI-powered diagnostic tool, it all traces back to those snowy classrooms and those stubborn Canadian researchers. And it also means that the tech Cold War is evolving. China is investing heavily in AI. The US is racing to keep up. But while they compete in public, Canada has quietly built the world's most ethical, long-term focused AI ecosystem. The question now isn't just who builds the most powerful AI, it's who builds the most responsible one. And in that battle, Canada might already be winning. AI is changing everything, fast. Jobs, education, healthcare, warfare, love, creativity, no corner of our lives is untouched. But as the race accelerates, maybe we should look to the snow, to the quiet cities, to the researchers who didn't chase trends, to the country that bet on brains instead of profits. Because if there's one lesson from Canada's AI story, it's this: the most powerful revolutions aren't always loud. Sometimes they're quiet, sometimes they wear scarves, and sometimes they change the world from under the snow. This is WebSpark. If this video sparked something in you, so go and check out GDF Marketing. It's a great place to learn more and stay ahead of the game. And hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the future of AI just might be Canadian.